Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be talking about the potential of a winter storm across really anywhere from parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, moving through parts of the Mid-Atlantic and up along the East Coast as well. Could be quite an impactful system for several folks out there as well. Now before we get started with this video, if you do like weather related content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. We do this stuff here all the time. We just did a monthly outlook yesterday for the month of January. So we do a lot of weather stuff around here on the channel. And we'll likely be having another update or two on the system here, so stay tuned for more uploads as well. So we got that out of the way. Let's go and get started with the watch warning map display. And there's a lot of stuff going on out there. First of all, we got a big system to be moving through the upper Midwest. We got a winter weather advisory for parts of the upper Midwest. Those orange boxes here you see here are actually blizzard warnings. There's another cluster of them in southeastern Minnesota. It's where we're going to have a lot of blowing snow. It's going to be windy as well. It's not going to be a big snow maker by any means, but with the winds, it's going to pick up a lot of snow, and it's going to seem like it's a blizzard out there. So, certainly going to be quite an interesting system for them folks up there. It's also going to get very cold as well. But really, the area we should be paying attention to for our upcoming system is these little cluster of winter storm warnings in southeastern Wyoming into parts of Nebraska. That's our system. They'll be moving to the southeast, and eventually it could be going to be turning northeast as it gets down to parts of Tennessee Valley region, and eventually it's going to turn a little bit more northeast when it gets closer to the Mid-Atlantic region as well. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on out there in the country. We're going to get started with the NAM model, and it does show that system very well in parts of the Midwest. And again, not a big snow maker or anything, like to monitor snow at times, but it will be a strong system. It will definitely create windy conditions out there. And by the way, here for parts of the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley, it's going to be windy later tonight into tomorrow. Eventually, a dry Arctic front will pass. The Arctic front at this point here will be situated right here. So it's going to be mostly a dry, cold front out there. It's not going to have a whole lot of precip, exception for the Great Lakes, which the lakes will certainly help bring up them snow chances up there. And you do see your system right here up in the parts of Nebraska, Wyoming, and even to parts of South Dakota. They'll be moving to the southeast. So we got to watch for that piece of energy. And then you get a low that starts to develop in parts of Louisiana. And you kind of get two pieces of energy that kind of come together here. And watch what happens here. You'll start to see that low deepen as it continues to move off to the east. And then we get a pretty large area of light to moderate snow. Even some maybe a little bit heavier snow down to parts of Tennessee. They'll be moving up into Kentucky at that same time. And you do see how your low does start to deepen as it continues to move to the northeast. And then it becomes a stronger system. A little bit of a nor'easter for parts of the northeast. As well, it could bring in a pretty decent round of some snow. Could be a little bit windy out of that system as well. And you can also tell the Great Lakes are active out there as well with that strong northwest wind out there as well. But there is a lot of factors when it comes to a system here. This is one model, one solution. So let's check out the high-risk Canadian model. So then again, very similar situation over the next, really for us today into early tomorrow. And very similar to what the NAM shows, a low pressure system develops in parts of Louisiana and Mississippi. It'll be a weak low pressure system, but it'll be enough to create some activity, especially on the winter side of things. It does get a little bit stronger a little bit early. If that's the case, we could see more snow break out across parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. It could be a little bit more widespread, moderate to heavy snow for some areas up there as well. But that's a big if. If it is a stronger low, then it could produce more snow, and it may move a little bit north as well, a tad bit north if it's going to be a stronger low. So we got to pay attention to as well. And then you can see here as it moves to the northeast around the heavy snow. Over some of the same areas that got hit hard yesterday, a lot of places got anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of snow. There were some other places that got at least 12 inches of snow out there. So then again, this could be another winter storm for you guys, especially in parts of Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and parts of New Jersey. But hey, for people up parts of New England states, especially up in parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine, hey, the system here may make for from the last system that missed you guys, and could be a good one as well. Maybe a little bit strong with that low there, but either way, it certainly shows a big area of some snow across most of the Northeast as well. And here's the GFS model here, and this is one of the weaker ones. And you can see here, it's also a little bit more progressive as well, so the amounts are going to be less, but it's also a tiny bit weaker. If that occurs, the low is going to travel a little bit further to the south. Then again, a lot of factors here. Let me tell you guys the next factor is a ridge we'll be building in the western US. If it does trend stronger, it's going to push this low here a little bit further to the south. So this could go over some of the same areas that just experienced a winter storm yesterday. And if it's weaker, the low could go further to the north as well. So then again, quite a bit of factors when it comes to the system here. And then you can see here, then it really starts to blow up when it gets up to parts of the northeast as well. And let's kind of look into this in a different view here. Let's check out the vortices. What the vortice is the amount of energy up in the atmosphere. And really the red colors means there's a lot of energy up there as well. And watch this piece of energy right here. This is the piece of energy we need to be paying attention to is what's going on right here. As it continues to move a little further to the south here, then you start to notice here, it really starts to amplify out there as well. Almost looks like it's a more of a positively tilt piece of energy, which would mean this could turn out to be a stronger system a little bit earlier. And if that's the case, we could see a little bit more snow for areas a little further back to the southwest if that were to verify. And then you can see here, then it starts to become negatively tilt. Then that's when that storm system really starts to get going. A little bit more snow will be able to be worked with as well. So if it does trend a little bit stronger, we could see more snow out of the system here, especially for areas back parts of the southwest as well, like parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia. Could see more snow out of this if it does trend stronger a little bit earlier. Let's check out the high-risk Canadian. And you know what? Shows something a little bit similar here, if we can get there. And the X here, as we kind of back this up a little bit, it's a little bit weaker than what the NAM shows, but it does trend a little bit stronger a little bit earlier, especially when it gets down to parts of the Lower Ohio Valley. And then when it gets up to the northeast, you definitely notice there it does become a little bit more negatively tilted. That means there's going to be a stronger system involved as well. Now, if it's going to be more positively tilted here or a little bit more flat, it's going to be a much weaker system as well, which we'll be able to see that solution here for the GFS. But then again, the GFS may be a little bit too progressive with this, which as you can see here, how that piece of energy is a little bit more flat. That would mean a weaker system, plus it's a little bit more progressive as well. It doesn't give a whole lot of time to really get going as well. So the GFS may be an outlier on this one as well. And if we do check out the European model, did not show the precipitation type yet. It's a little bit further south, and it's a little bit weaker with the system as well. But you certainly see there how it really starts to blow up when it gets up to the northeast. But let's check out the energy with this system as well. So then again, if it does trend stronger a little bit earlier, the low track could be a little bit further to the north, or also known as a northwest trend. That's another thing. What's pretty typical of these models here, or at least common anyway, about around 24 hours out, it usually tries to have what's known as a northwest trend. It's happened before with the last system, but it wasn't necessarily a major northwest trend here. But either way, the northwest trend was still there. And models it's been pretty common with these models here over the last year or two. So yeah, that's another thing that a northwest trend could happen with this as well. Not saying it is going to happen, but the possibility is there that it could happen. Anyway, checking out the European model here with the energy, you can see here it does trend a little bit stronger, a little bit earlier with it as well. But at the same time, though, it does become a little bit more flat as it continues to move on to the east. That would mean a weaker system, plus it will be a little bit further south. But then when it gets to the northeast, you can see here how it becomes a little bit more negatively tilt, and you start to see a stronger system as well with it as well. Then at that point there, it could be a nor'easter at that point as well. So then again, a lot of factors here. And one of the tiniest things could really change out the forecast as well, especially with the snowfall totals. One little thing could really change those snowfall totals. You know, if it's weaker, you may not see as much snow, but if it does trend stronger, you could see more snow as well. Plus, it could trend a little bit north as well. So there's still a lot of uncertainty with this system. But let's go to the fun part. How much snow is what the models are suggesting. Now, you got to use the catch area ratio. You can't really use the 10-to-1 ratio with this system here because the ratio for the 10-to-1 ratio will be too low. Temperatures will be colder as well. And what the ratio means, 1 inch rain could equal 10 inches of snow. With the colder temperatures, you could be talking about 1 inch rain could lead to 15 inches of snow. Now, the 1 inch rain really depends on how much moisture is in the atmosphere, but you also got that combination of colder air as well. So you can't necessarily use the 10-to-1 ratio as well. You got to use the catch air ratio. Now, the good news is with this setup here, we won't really have much of an issue with ground temperature. So really, almost anything that falls has a good chance to sticking on some things. So here's the NAM model. It has some of the highest amounts a little further to the southwest here, a little bit more focused across parts of higher elevations of West Virginia and even down to parts of Virginia and southeastern Kentucky. It also has some decent amounts back across parts of southwestern Kentucky as well. Maybe a little too high, a little further to the southwest. I think some of the highest amounts are probably going to be more focused somewhere in this red circle right in here, especially for the higher elevations here. I think the higher elevations definitely has a good chance of seeing a snowstorm out of this, and the amounts could get close to the double-digit values with the system here. But as the system here starts to move faster, you do start to back off of those snowfall totals as you move further to the northeast. But you do notice here, as the system does get stronger, the snow amounts do come back a little bit higher, especially when you get to the New England states as well. But either way, it shows a pretty decent swath of snow out there out of the system. Here's the Harris Canadian, and this has so far been the most consistent model out of the rest. The rest of the models has been changing around some. This one here has been pretty much consistent, and it does show a lot of snow out there. Maybe a little high for my taste, but it does show a lot of snow out there. You can see it's got a widespread swath of anywhere from 5 to 8 inches of snow, with some of the higher elevations could see double-digit amounts. And like I said, similar to the NAM model, the amounts do back off as the system does move a little bit quicker, but at the same time, as it gets stronger, especially against the New England states, those snowfall amounts do come back up as well. So it's going to be a very interesting system to watch. And like I said, with the GFS model being a little bit progressive and a weaker low, the amounts are going to be lower and it's going to be further south. And you can see here, definitely shows that solution here. But even at that, it shows a widespread swath of 3 to 5 inches rain, not rain, but snow anywhere from central Tennessee. Yeah, you guys could see a decent amount of snow again all the way up into parts of West Virginia, backs off a little bit. Looks like kind of tries to come back when he gets up to the northeast. But then again, I think this will be an outlier, especially up to the northeast. It really backs off those snowfall amounts, maybe a little bit too much. Here's the European model. Now, this is the 10-to-1 ratio. I do not have access to the catch air ratio, so the amounts the European model is showing is likely going to be too low. So maybe bump this up maybe about a couple inches of snow, and this might be what this is showing. And it does show some of the highest amounts a little further to the south and east. And like I said, looking to the precipitation, it is a little bit weaker. So it is a little bit further south with those amounts as well. Let's get some of the bullseye down to parts of central and eastern Tennessee up into West Virginia. But you got to pay attention to those trends very closely as well. May as well check out some of the other models. Here's the Canadian model, and it's a little bit further north there. It's got some of the highest totals from southeastern Kentucky, northeastern Tennessee. Then you got the Smoky Mountain region, up into the higher elevations of West Virginia and Virginia as well. And also I have to agree with that. At least for the higher elevations, we'll likely see some of the highest totals with it as well. And here's the GFS ensembles here, and you can see here it's not very impressive the snowfall amounts, at least for the mean here. This is a mean of 21 members here. But if we do look at individual runs here, you'll definitely notice a difference here. You'll notice here that some of the lowest amounts some of these balls are showing is a little bit further south. But the ones that are showing some of the highest amounts are a little bit further north. So that really tells you something. If the low pressure system is going to be weaker, it's going to be a little bit further south, plus the amounts will be less. But if it's going to be a stronger system, it'll be a little bit further to the north and there'll be some higher snowfall amounts. And at that point, that's something we don't necessarily really know yet. It's kind of 50-50 with the models currently, if it's going to be a stronger low or a weaker low. Probably whenever that piece of energy comes from the northwestern US, we may have a better idea, and the models will be able to adjust as well. I think we'll have a better idea with this either later tonight on the 0Z runs or tomorrow as well. So then again, still plenty of uncertainty with the system here. A little too early to put out a snowfall forecast for right now. This is something I haven't really shown the channel before. This is the SREF model, and this is an ensemble model, and I believe it gets all these models here together into a probability map. So, and I believe this is what the National Service uses a lot. So let's check out the probability map. Now, this is a probability of at least 1 inch of snow. You can see here pretty good probabilities where that piece of energy will be coming from. It will start with bringing a winter storm for some of those regions. That's where we do have those winter storm warnings. But look what happens when you get into the lower Ohio Valley. There's quite a large spread with it. But then again, this is a probability for at least 1 inch of snow, and it's not a whole lot. But it does have some of the highest percentages, at least a 50% chance in parts of Kentucky, so it's a little bit further north with it. And you can see how those percentages really ramp up when you get to the higher elevations in West Virginia. And you can see here at least that 50% chance really continues throughout through the northeastern U.S. as well. And it's a little bit more widespread with it as well. How about probability for at least 4 inches? In parts of the Royal Ohio Valley region, this is what's considered a winter storm, at least 4 inches of snow. In parts of Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia, this is what's considered at least 4 inches of snow. The first half you go, the less the amounts are of what's required to be a winter storm. I know in over Alabama, it's 2 inches of snow to be considered as a snowstorm, but up here in Kentucky, it's 4 inches. I'm not really sure about the Northeast, though. But anyway, this is a probability for at least 4 inches of snow, and it does have some of the highest amounts or percentages in West Virginia. And you can see here, it does come back up again when you get up into parts of Maine and New Hampshire as well. That's when that system here really starts to wrap up, a little bit more moisture to work with, and colder air as well. So those snowfall amounts will ramp back up again when you get to the New England states. So then again, very interesting as well. And here's the probability for at least 8 inches of snow, and the probabilities are low. But you can see here, you definitely notice here when you compare it to some other models, they are a little bit further north with it as well. Maybe a little bit more focused in the parts of Kentucky, West Virginia, than parts of Tennessee and the higher elevations of North Carolina. So it's slightly north than what some of the other models suggest. But then again, it'll be something to watch for now. They could shift further south. We'll see what happens with the models here over the next couple runs or so. But hopefully we'll have a better idea on this later tonight or tomorrow. Last thing I want to check out is the probability map from the Weather Prediction Center. We're going to check out the probability for at least 1 inch of snow. This is beginning on day 2. So we do check this out here. So this is 18 UTC. And you can see here how those percentages really start to move into parts of Kentucky. This is when your storm system really starts to enter the area. And here you go. You got a pretty high probability, a 70-80% chance. That means it's pretty likely that we're going to see at least 1 inch of snow, especially across parts of southern Indiana, southern Illinois, northern Tennessee, and pretty much the entire state of Kentucky has a good chance of seeing it. And then as you move later in the day here, you've got a orange area highlighted. That's an 80 to 90% chance, and really the better opportunity to see at least 1 inch of snow will be across parts of eastern Kentucky, southwestern Virginia, into the higher elevations of West Virginia as well. This is currently where they have the better confidence right now. Here's at least 2 inches. Still has some pretty high probabilities out there. Really, I would pay attention to the areas in the blue. This is where I think we'll see the best opportunity, especially when you get to the brighter colors and not even the orange color as well. You do notice here they're kind of following the stronger low in a further northern track as well, at least for now. It could change on the next update, but this is currently what they're following for now anyway. It could change. But you can see here they really have it more focused in Kentucky, West Virginia, and parts of Virginia as well. So we continue on further down the road. Still got some pretty high probabilities down to parts of West Virginia. And this is where we kind of go outside of it as well. And you can see here those probabilities do increase when you get up to parts of the Northeast as well. But let's kind of back this up a little bit. So this is kind of really the beginning of the event here. How about the probability for at least 4 inches? Up here, Kentucky, at least 4 inches of snow is considered a winter storm. Keep in mind that. And I guess you could follow along and say this, at least down here in the Lower Ohio Valley, that this is your probability of seeing winter storm from the Weather Prediction Center. And you can see the chances are pretty low, 10 to 20% chance. There's still some uncertainty out there, but the better opportunity for seeing a winter storm does seem to be across eastern Kentucky, the higher elevations of West Virginia, into parts of Virginia as well. Now, as the further north you go, the snowfall amount requirement does rise. Keep in mind that. It's not the same way for everywhere, just to keep in mind of that. But you do see how those probabilities do start to rise as you get up to the northeast, especially in the New England states as well. This is a probability of 6 inches. You still got pretty good probabilities up there. But as we kind of back this up a little bit to the early stages of the system here, not very confident. Really, the area they're most confident with is West Virginia, which I'll have to agree with that as well. Then there's 8 inches. They still got a pretty decent probability out there as well. And then a foot of snow, very low. I don't think we'll see a foot of snow out there. But then again, the probability will be pretty low out there as well. Let's check out a different graphic here. So this is day 2. This is a probability for at least 4 inches of snow. And you can see here they got a 10 to a 40% chance across parts of central and western Kentucky, and that's a pretty low chance when you think about it. It's a pretty low chance. But as you move on to day 3, so the probability for at least 4 inches of snow, that got some of the higher probabilities up across the New England states, and even a much higher probability in the higher elevations of West Virginia as well. And I guess, never mind what I was going to say. But anyway, they got the best confidence in the New England states to at least see 4 inches of snow up there as well. So then again, still some uncertainty with this system here, but I think we'll have a better idea on the system here either later tonight or tomorrow. But anyways, guys, that's all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video, hit the like button if you do like my channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, put the comment section down below. I answer you guys questions. And I see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.